passing, knowledge fades away, but we rise together with Sensay today, capturing wisdom from hearts that inspire, building a future, lifting us higher. We're the dreamers, the seekers, the bold, turning stories to wisdom, forever to hold. Sensay, oh Sensay, we're transforming the night, knowledge to wisdom, with AI shining light. Together we soar, with our hearts unified. Sensay forever, our wisdom won't hide. From the spark of a mind to a legacy grand, we preserve every lesson across every land. With replicas living, our voices will stay, empowering progress in every new day. We're the builders, the vision, the flame, carrying forward the wisdom we claim. Sensay, oh Sensay, we're transforming the night, knowledge to wisdom, with AI shining light. Together we soar, with our hearts unified. Sensay forever, our wisdom won't hide.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Thomson, the founder and CEO at Sensay. Hope you are loving the theme song as much as I am these days. Never going to get tired of that. And Kevin, our Stream Masters Spotify album will be ready in just a matter of weeks, I guess, at this point. For those who are first time joining us, Sensay is a platform where we can create digital replicas of yourself to capture your knowledge, your stories, your experience, and extend yourself using AI in a very personalized way that's just above and beyond other AI tools that are out there. So if you haven't checked it out yet and you're just watching on YouTube or Twitter or LinkedIn, feel free to go to sensay.io and test it out for yourself. It's free to create a replica and basically start that process of capturing yourself to extend yourself. Today, as always, if you have any questions throughout, please do pop them onto the comment section on YouTube or Twitter, Telegram or Discord or LinkedIn, and we will see them and we'll do the Q&A section at the end. Joining us today, we have a very, very special guest as well as one familiar face, so I guess we can bring them both up. So Lars, you want to just give us a quick hello and intro, and then we'll jump over to the guest of honor today.
Yes, of course. It is always amazing. I am Lars. I am from Head of Community at Sensay, and I love being here with all of you. And today, as Dan said, we have a very, very special guest, one of our co-founders and CTO of Sensay, Marco. Please, you have the stage.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm Marco. I'm the co-founder and CTO of Sensay. I've been working with Dan on this for the last 2 years. But I think I know Dan for 9 years now.
That's far too long. But Marco's usually too busy to join us on these calls. That's why we don't see him very often. But we'll try and get him on a few more because he's an excellent speaker, and we've got always a million and one things to talk about. But I mean, for everyone who hasn't really, seen or heard from you before, which again, very understandable. Always heads of the computer actually building. Why don't you give a bit of a background about yourself so that everyone can get to know you a bit better?
Background by myself, I am probably the tallest Italian most of the people will ever meet. I am very, very tall for an Italian, so no one actually believes I'm Italian, but I actually am. So I grew up in Italy. I then moved to UK, where I really, my career in technology exploded there because Italy is not a very good place if you really want to have a career. why I used to live 10 years in London, and there my career progressed from software engineer, senior software engineer, to CTO of a big company. And after doing the full corporate ladder, I decided that I want to build a company with Dan, and that's how I end up here.
And one of those the last couple of companies, I mean, you were building building and managing pretty like substantially large teams, right?
Yeah, so 3 companies ago, I was CTO, and the company was about 900 people, called TES. It was a ed tech company in UK, international, and I had between 12 and 14 engineering teams, and about something around 65 engineers, plus UX, product, and so on. So quite large there. And then after that, I went to work at Hopin, which was like one of those hyperscale startups. I had, in my role, I had to influence around 220 engineers, so that was a big challenge. And then the last corporate job, I was working for Infinitas Technology, a European edtech company, and there I was working with about 75 engineers. So big big development teams. So plenty of room to grow, Sensay.
And what was what was it like going from managing such big teams to starting from scratch? And actually, because I remember you saying a couple of years ago, you haven't actually been writing any code yourself for quite some time, and then here you are basically hacking Sensay into life from day one. What was that like?
Yeah, so you say it right. So basically, Dan said to me, Marco, let's go for it. Was it a month and a half in Madrid where we said we are just gonna build the MVP, something like this, right? And it was literally just me and you at the beginning there, right? So I literally had to put back my coding hat, and after many years of management, I was still involved actively on the architecture analysis, but I was not doing day-to-day coding. So I had to figure out what are the latest trends of things that are going to be big in 1 year, right? So when we started building the first MVP, I had to think what is going to be mainstream in 1 year from now, right? Because what we were building back in the day is going to be kind of flourishing in 1 year. So I had to really catch up on all of the latest and greatest, and then that's how I decided the tech stack. So I was looking at trying to anticipate the market so that then also it's going to be good to and easy to find talent, right? Because talent is going to want to work on what is the latest and greatest, not on old stuff, right? So it was a lot of discovery there, and I think most of the choices we did were probably good. So we're still using most of those choices. And I guess the big difference was just getting my head around of all the progress that technology did. One. And now I would say in the last year it's been how do I leverage the AI coding tools on my day-to-day work, right? And how do I get the team to take that on as well, right? So this I think has been the big difference between coding nowadays and coding maybe 5-10 years ago.
And it's something I think we talked about last week. About, and I've done it on a few podcasts recently as well. But how are you encouraging your team to actually adopt because we've got quite a big team of developers now. I think we've got 20, 30 developers. How are you as a manager, as a CTO, encouraging them to adopt the actual use of AI in their work, and also I guess which tools are the ones that you're sort of moving everyone towards?
So it's a difficult question because the landscape with these tools is changing so often that I find it hard to make an absolute recommendation on what to use. So I have my own favorite ones, which is Cloud Code. It's a command line coding assistant tool. I find myself very happy using it. So I kind of advertise it and get the people interested in it to look into it. I managed to get I converted 2 people in the last few days to it. And then some people, like the mainstream is to use Cursor, which is like a AI coding assistant tool, which probably something like nowadays 30-40% of people that don't work on difficult to change enterprises are using for coding. So I think that's also one of the tools that most of the people are using here. But I didn't find myself happy with it. I personally use Windsurf as an editor inside my JetBrains IDE. So Windsurf has more of you kind of mold the whole code base, while with Cursor is more to work on a single file, right? So then I talk about this with the team, I get them interested, we do some trials and so on. So the problem is that, for example, now Windsurf has been bought by OpenAI. So that's what I'm saying, that the environment changes so often that it's very difficult for me to go to the team. You guys, you need to drop all what you're doing, use this tool because I like it. Because the problem is that maybe in 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, the situation is going to change. There's a huge competition. So Cursor went in 2 months from generating 100 million in annualized recurring revenue or monthly recurring revenue. It doesn't matter, but to 200 million in 2 months, right? That's why OpenAI bought Windsurf for 3 billion. And the point there is that now there is this huge competition between Claude and Anthropic and OpenAI on development assistant tools, and you never know what they're going to do because they might just completely change the game. And now Google is coming in with I think it's called Google. Remember Google Firebase Studio or something like this, which is again another competitor, right? So maybe in a month, my advice to the team would be wrong. So I need to get the team that they know that we are expecting them to use it, so that they speed up their work and they are not bogged down by just clicking buttons. But everybody needs to keep an eye on what actually creates most of the value for the team.
Yeah, and personally, I find it really useful where we have open channels in our Slack, for example, about sharing the latest tools and industry news. So usually that's quite a good environment for finding out about new sort of tips and tricks and tools to use. And I guess the same across marketing, BD, sales, dev, everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like today, I was watching some stuff around Figma Make, which is a way basically to create the designs like we create code, right? So you just tell the LLM what to do it. So we were looking at that. Okay, how can I UX leverage generative AI to speed up the design processes? So again, this is changing daily, so it's very, very tricky to make team decisions, because it could be relevant super quickly.
Yeah, I mean, even like Canva now, you go to Canva and just prompt an entire site or entire design into existence, and the results are usually quite good. But we had an interesting question. I think it was last week or the week before, and I can't remember if we answered it particularly well. But someone asked how much of our code is now written by AI, and I guess you're probably a better person to answer that one.
I don't have a metric on this, but I can tell you that so we are now moving all the coding to use our company accounts with the LLM providers. So once I complete the switch, I can see how much it's costing us per month. From that, I can understand how much we used it. But we didn't finish the switch yet. But for me as a developer, for me, my job is mostly thinking about the architecture, thinking about the expectations that I want, getting the LM to write it, and making sure it's being written properly. So that cuts down my development time massively. So I would expect in the future that someone is gonna even invent kind of a meta programming language where you don't really do the code anymore. You're just focused on the outcomes and making sure it's done properly as a developer. And I think people are saying you should call them developers anymore, but something like builders, because you're not really writing code anymore. You're just making sure it's done properly.
They're all just AI managers these days. They just have the AI bots to go and do everything. And actually, I think that was another question we had a little while ago, which was something along the lines of, how long is it until our replicas are creating code as well?
Whew, so we are not focusing on that. It would be a whole different business area.
But we do have some that are like trained by developers, kind of as developer replicas that I guess can
They can generate code
and generate code. Yeah.
But the thing is that I see, that versus specialized tools like Cloud Code or Codex by OpenAI. I mean, the depth at which they can interact with the code base is another level.
Yeah. I guess the obvious question all round is, do you think AI will completely replace software engineers?
Well, so I think it's gonna take a while before AI is flawless on this. So I don't know how long it's going to take, right? But the problem is that currently it doesn't have a clue what it is doing most of the time. So if you don't kind of put it go in the right direction, it might just create stuff that is insecure, has vulnerabilities, has bugs, doesn't work properly. And when things go wrong now, things needs to be fixed by a developer. So you cannot really get rid of them at the moment, because otherwise there is no guarantee that what you have is secure and it's working.
Yeah, we got a very fun, relevant question that just came in. Do you think Coda was better before AI?
Honestly, I mean, I started coding when I was 16, and I would say back in the Windows days, coding was quite straightforward. I guess nowadays with the standard has become so high with the quality of the web applications that various companies do, like Airbnb or any other one, that the users expect such a high level of execution that is very, very expensive. So AI can help you focus on what matters, and they do the grunt of the work. So I would say that nowadays, I think coding will be better with AI. But 20 years ago, it was much simpler, so you didn't need AI.
And why? I guess there's a lot of people who are now this whole vibe coding movement, and this whole idea of non-techie people being able to, without obviously any degrees in computer science or any real formal training, being able to generate apps and websites just through prompts and using things like Bolt and Replit and Lovable, myself included. I've done a few of these. What are your and then sometimes when you see the vibe coding, some of the complaints are that they can create something, but then it's obviously full of bugs and they have no idea how to fix it. I guess we haven't really talked about this probably, but have you got any thoughts on that whole vibe coding movement that we kind of see on social media and in the AI space in general?
No, I think it's the future. But what you're saying is correct. The problem is when things go wrong, how do you fix it, and how do you make sure it's secure and performant, right? There is all these memes. Yes, I created my website, but the website is only running on the computer of the person. They have no idea how to put it on the internet. And when you put it on the internet, how do you make sure it's secure and privacy and respect of the GDPR rules and so on. So I think that's where you still need to have the skills. But I mean, if I need to make a landing page that doesn't have, it's just content and so on, I mean, those tools are fantastic. You just, you just need to use the right tool in the right amount for the right type of work. For example, one approach that I like for when you get a company that has non-technical people that are doing vibe coding is that then you have that before it goes live to the customer, it always needs to be thoroughly reviewed by an expert, which is a great compromise, right? So you get maybe like the marketing person make the landing pages, and then you just get it double checked before going live to the customer by actually someone that knows how it should be done properly. And then it's interesting because could that person train their own AI replica to do that work? That's a good question.
Yeah. Almost, this kind of ties in with my next question, which is around like, so would you say it's still valuable for people to actually go and learn CS, computer science, or, should they, I guess, be focusing on other things like, I guess, just prompt engineering?
Yeah, but that's what I was saying, right? So until we don't have kind of a meta language that abstracts away all these how computers work and works the vast, like 99.9995% of the time or whatever, sadly you still need to know how computers work to make them work. That's where we are still. Probably in 5 years or whatever, we may be past that.
I always find like the idea of like computer language so fascinating, because it's, my understanding is that it is just layers of different languages built on top of each other, and there is a core computer language at the very bottom of it, and not many people learn that anymore, but they just learn the latest version of whichever language they're learning, and the next one might just be, like you said, that meta language, that sort of prompt language that we use, and that's the new computer science.
Yeah, exactly. I think it make like I think currently probably the fact that AI has to generate code that humans were comfortable in writing is probably a limitation for AI, right? It could probably find a more efficient way to generate the systems. We are not there yet. I'm pretty sure someone is working on this on a stealth startup somewhere.
How long do you think until we are there? I mean, there was who was it? Was the CEO of Reddit or something said that in 12 months the AI will be good enough to basically do pretty much all coding. I can't remember who it was actually now. News from
no, I think it wasn't that the CEO of actually Anthropic, Claude, the one doing Claude?
Yes. Yeah. There we
go. Yeah. And Claude is the best currently. Claude and Gemini 2.5 Pro are the best at writing code. And so the problem is that a code base is too complex to be in the prompt of a LLM, and could be too large, but also too many things, and it could be too expensive, right? So you need stuff like Windsurf or Cloud Code that figure out a way to work on your code base without overwhelming the LLM, right? So it's just one side of the LLM is one side of the problem, and then how do you make that useful in the context of a code base is the other side. And how do you make that useful in the context of how do I put that in the hand of my customers is another problem, right? So there's many moving parts. So the LLM is just one element, right? And the LLMs are very good, right? But they cannot grasp a whole code base in one go. So you need so these tools that are now popular figure out ways to work with the code base without overwhelming the model, which is the tricky part. Which is also the problem we have at Sensay, right? When customers have larger knowledge bases, this is exactly why Sensay exists, right? Because we have all the technology to process a lot of knowledge from a user and make it available so that the LLM can generate pertinent responses.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of nicely leads into my one of my last kind of questions here for you, around like what have been some of the biggest challenges over the last 2 years of building this out. from that very early days of getting started, building out like a little Gordon Ramsay chatbot on WhatsApp to this behemoth that we're building now?
Yeah, so I guess I was at Geneva at a conference a few days ago or weeks ago, right? And I actually talked about that. And I think this is, I created a set of principles in which we work. One is called preservation first. So when our customers upload files or data or any information that we need to process for the knowledge base, we preserve the originals, but we also preserve every single step. So, for example, for a website, we first need to, spin up like a browser, render the website. From that, we get all the HTML. From that, we clean the HTML. We get all the text. From that, then we optimize the text. We clean it up, and we make it really useful for then generating knowledge on behalf of the user. Right. So, and because the technology and our skills evolve all the time, the concept of preservation first means that we can replay these steps when we get better at it, when we have better technologies. So this is one key principle that drives our infrastructure. The other one is called adaptive architecture. So we had a situation in the past that, we thought we were going to do something in one way, then we decided to do it in another way. So we need to be able to swap in and out modules about how our architecture works, because the industry is moving at such a massive speed, right? So what we built 2 years ago, some of that is irrelevant nowadays, or quite a bit of that is irrelevant nowadays. Right? So it happens that, we had some partners that just got acquired and just disappeared in 3 weeks, right? So we need to be able to constantly adapt our architecture. Pragmatic innovation means that is the converse of this, right? So every now and then there is all these announcements, all these new ideas, technologies that come to the market, and we cannot just get everything in. So we need to kind of have a process that we do through internal hackathons and through our internal labs team, where we experiment with new ideas, new concepts, new things, and then once we validate that actually creates value for us, then we bring it in our architecture. And then the other principle is multimodal and multi-provider. Multimodal means that we can, generate text, generate voice, generate video, but we can also parse text, parse voice, and currently parse images. And then we use multiple providers to generate the output. So we can use Claude, DeepSeek, we use OpenAI, Grok, and so on, right? So this gives us a lot of flexibility to really create an engaging experience for different types of customers. And because the whole infrastructure, the whole world moves so fast, we decided we want to invest our energy into building our own magic sauce rather than building, big servers. So we started. I remember Dan a few, what was a year ago or a year and a half ago, we bought some servers in Germany to run our own models. And then we decided, I decided it's just a waste of our effort, right? So we just use as much outsourced infrastructure as we can. So we are just basically paying someone else to manage infrastructure, so we can focus on building the technology that makes the difference. And that's also where it comes with, a balance open source versus proprietary code. So we are trying to open source as much as we can, where things are kind of good additions to what we do, while we keep proprietary our what we call our magic sauce, our knowledge engine, and our personalization engine, and our studio, and so on. That's all proprietary. But for example, how we interact and engage and work with Telegram, Discord, and so on, that's all open source, so people can come and improve it and adapt it to their needs. And then the other thing, our principle is API first. So we really care about our API customers. So anything that you can do, or we can do with Sensay, our customer can do when they integrate with us with API. So these were the principles that allowed us to move fast and evolve our product. I would say in the last 2 years.
Yeah, and one of those kind of like obviously recent releases was actually around the updated chat widget. What's, I guess in your own words, like what were some of the biggest updates that we made to that, and I guess why?
Well, so I guess I think why it was important is that the customers were really telling us that they want to use the chat widget because it's a very good way for them to be out there to their own users while automating most of it, right? So the original chat widget we had was built without some of these needs in mind. For example, it was difficult to integrate in a customer's website, while the new chat widget has been designed from the beginning where you can just put literally one line of code on your own website and then you have the chat widget. And we created all the management for it. So you can decide the colors, position, themes, it's kind of a white label solution. So it looks and feels like it's part of your own brand, but it's managed by us. So you don't have to build all the hard work behind to create a chat widget. So those were the requests from the customers. And we are very focused on trying to gather this information and really build a product that meet customers' needs. And we realized that we had to do the version 2 of the chat widget because the version 1 didn't match all these expectations that the customers had.
The version 1 was definitely a step down. So yes, it's a big
that's startup life, right?
Yeah, we learn, we grow, we improve, we adjust, we put it out there, and then we keep going that way, fumbling our way forward. Nice one. Well, look, with that, we're going to bring Lars back up so that we can get a quick community update, and then we will go to some questions. So guys, if you do have any questions, please do ask them. YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Telegram, Discord, we will see them, and we'll ask them shortly.
Hello, everyone. Yes, so the community actually been very lovely busy this week. We had a community quiz last night where we had a lot of fun for 1 hour and a lot of misleading hints for questions. And today we also had our lovely announcement coming in with Cyberscope for a hackathon where everyone in our community is able to go in, build with the Sensay API on top of Sensay to create and have an opportunity to actually win cash prizes with working with Sensay our API and everything. And as well, everything is always lovely when you're all in our chat communicating and we have our team in there all the time.
Yeah, and then just as a reminder, we do have our hackathon right now. There's a $10,000 prize for any builders, entrepreneurs who want to build on top of Sensay, specifically for education. It's a big prize. It's finishing in a few weeks, and anyone who wants to get involved can join that via the link on the screen now, or go to the Dora Hacks website on dorahacks.io and join the hackathon to get involved. Fantastic. All right, I guess we've got some community questions, so let's bring some of those up and see what we get to.
A lot of them about tech today. So, do you see the coding language simplified to standard English with AI, like pictures generation? This is from Ben Salfalia.
Yeah, I think so. I think that kind of the kind of English is going to be via prompting is going to be like how people are going to do coding in the future, but they're not going to be thinking about coding, right? They're just going to be thinking about getting the result that they are expecting, and that's going to be generated.
Yeah, I seen a lot of fun when we use binary language. It's even more fun in online to ones and zeros just to make everybody like, what?
I mean, Lars, you've been playing around with some of the code generators recently as well, right?
I have actually, and it's actually been quite fun. I think I broke my computer 2 times because I launched something that was not ready. The fun thing about using Canva, for example, is that you will break what you make once in a while and you have to go back to a checkpoint. Canva is actually now, so you can actually reintegrate it back to a checkpoint when you had a working version that you broke to reiterate it. It's so much fun. Last time I showed for the team, we had a where we could actually use the links and copy our replicas directly into your phone, like a fun little promotion for ourselves, working things. And Also, a fun thing, I tried to actually make a blockchain tracker. That one I broke a lot of times because it's a back-end server and a front end. It is so much fun to play around with. And even now, I'm trying to do a special wallet tracker to track individual wallets transactions to see, hey, is there anything I need to follow?
Yeah, be careful out there, guys. The super sleuth that is Lars, our head of community, will find you. Right, let's bring up another question.
So here we have from Markus Littke. Hello from Germany. How is everyone in the Sensay family doing?
Good.
Very good.
Wait, what did I just? How did I just break my camera with thumbs up?
You got fireworks in the background, yes.
Fireworks, yeah. Let's try another one.
So, film free here. What does Sensay Tech look like in 5 years?
Ooh, that's a very hard question.
Great question.
So I think I can tell you in the next year. So one of the key elements of our infrastructure is called something called vector databases, or it's also called RAG search. Is a way to transform language into like a vector, like a matrix of vectors, which is like a matrix of numbers that identify similarity of concepts. So, for example, this means that if I have knowledge about apples and someone is looking for fruit, apple and fruit are two concepts that are very similar, and we do this across multiple languages, right? So you can, for example, teach a replica in English, and then someone speaking French can ask a question about it, and it figures out how things are related, concepts are related. So this is called these are called vector databases, and you need something called an embedding model, which is an AI model that transforms language to conceptual proximity of so concepts into numbers that represent conceptual proximity, and we do this across multiple languages. So this was a big thing that we've been working on for a while. Because imagine, let's say you're selling fruit and someone asks you, okay, what kind of fruits do you have? And, the knowledge needs to come for all the fruit, right? So it shouldn't be like, let's say, an old school database where it's only a string match. So then, of course, then you need to look at it from the next perspective. You want to ask something like, what did we talk about the last week? Or what are common concepts that people that we discussed about, right? So if you do that, then you need something called knowledge graphs. Is when you take knowledge and you break it down in nodes. So for example, okay, so I have a node of people. These are the people associated with that node, and then these are, for example, knowledge base entries associated to those people, right? So in this way you can traverse connected knowledge. So this, I think, is going to come to our platform in the next year. Because it enables much more in-depth reasoning of the models. I would say probably 2 years ago we were playing around making custom models. We paused that a little bit because the industry is evolving so fast, and people like OpenAI, Anthropic, and so on are investing billions in it. So it makes sense that we leverage that as much as we can for normal use cases. So we use kind of customized models only for more specific use cases for specific type of businesses, and maybe some of that is going to come back in the future. I would say that I definitely expect that most of our code and infrastructure is going to be handled by AI in the future, and in a proactive way, right? So imagine you come as a customer. We have our report a bug feature in the footer. It goes to our platform Canny, where you can report a bug. I would expect that we have agents that get that, download the code, try to understand what is the problem, try to fix it. If they don't understand, reach out back to you, right? So kind of automate all this flow that we are now doing by hand, and I hope that we are going to get a lot of this, right? And it's interesting because the next evolution of that is also for product features, right? So you want to build a new product feature, you create a detail of what the product feature needs to be done, then we should have proactive AI agent that starts building it, right? So kind of, create all these drafts of all these works automatically. So that's also something that we should get to internally. And then from a visionary perspective, I'm pretty sure that Dan has ideas. I know that we have customers that want our replicas on the metaverse. They want the replicas on the phone. They want the replicas on AR, augmented reality goggles and so on. So I don't know. We should think about, Dan definitely has like a longer term vision of where the platform can go and the technology what can be supported there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, 5 years from now, you won't be able to tell whether it's me or my replica on these calls, let alone over text or voice. So, that would be the goal for me in 5 years. I think we can probably get there. I think it'd be hard pushed for even closest of friends to realize that they're talking to a replica instead of the real person. And I think that's just going to be a huge amount of convenience by having that sort of personalized AI as a support and as an option for people. So yeah, that's where 5 years, maybe less, we'll see. We'll push the team a bit harder. Maybe we'll get there in 2.
Yeah, in 5 years, Dan sitting on a beach as a replica doing community calls.
That would be great. No, I love the community calls. My favorite part of the week, obviously. Right, I think we've got time for 2 more questions.
So here we have from Wishlink. What is the proprietary tech of Sensay? Why is it not just another wrapper?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. So I addressed this in this slide. So imagine, so the point is that when let's say ChatGPT came out, I would say probably kind of 100% of the AI companies were wrappers of OpenAI, right? And then people started doing RAG, which is what I mentioned earlier. It's a way to find information that is conceptually related, but not verbatim related, right? So let's say 50% of the companies do RAG, right? And requires a lot of engineering because you need to have ways to ingest data, to clean up the data, so you actually get relevant results when you do this kind of vector database searches. You need to have a way to chunk the data because these vector databases, they cannot store large amount of data. The data needs to be split in parts. You need to figure out how to create these, the numbers, the matrix of numbers that I was talking about earlier, and then how to store it in the vector database and how to retrieve it, right? So imagine the example here is, let's say I have the Dan travel bot, right? And you ask, and then Dan educated his replica about the best fusion restaurants in London and the best restaurants in Marrakesh. So if someone comes with a query about what are the similarities in cuisine between Marrakesh and London restaurants, it's a very complex query. So you need to break that down into maybe what are the topics of the query. One query could be what are the restaurants in London, what are your recommended restaurants in Marrakesh. Then you get the data, then you need to process the data and so on, right? So basically there is a lot of work. So this is one of our elements that we built in-house, all of these workflows here. And on top of that, then what happens is that when you have a lot of, so imagine the other example is one of our customers is an author, and they want the replica on their website so that the customers can engage, learn more about the author, learn about the book, and so on, right? As a human, if you see me like this and you ask me a question, what is it? I know that because we are humans, we know that we are referring to the cup, and so I tell you about the cup, right? Why the replica doesn't understand that. So how do you make a replica understand that their purpose is to be in a chat widget, helping customers about the history of the author and selling the book, right? So with that, we have something called we rolled out the knowledge the wisdom engine version 1, which what it does, it tries to take all the knowledge that has been generated by the customer and create self-awareness of what the replica knows about, what are the topics of conversation, what are the areas of expertise, and what is the representation of the communication style of the owner of the replica, and so on. Right? So that's again something that we built on in house so that it becomes simple for a owner of a replica to load all the knowledge and have a high quality replica as a result, right? Because before that had to be done on manually. Now this is automated, so the owner has only to focus on providing right information, then the replica figures out how to use that information to create high quality experiences for the customers, users.
That's very.
I mean, I can go on and on, yeah, but
yeah. And I think we're going to bring out a sort of a public-facing map of our kind of like AI brain soon as well, and that will help to sort of really show what goes into Sensay a lot more than just the LLM and some prompts on top. One more question, I think, and all we've got time for today.
So here we have Madhu. I've seen him a few times on our calls. When is going to be exchange just for Sensay token?
I mean, you won't believe this, but tomorrow. No. The honest answer is we it's kind of out of our hands. Big exchanges look at things like volume and general awareness of tokens, and it's something that will happen. We keep building for the community, and at the right time we will be able to. But the costs involved are quite substantial, and even then, to even get the actual opportunity is that. The opportunity doesn't even come around without hitting certain criteria first. So as soon as we do, we will as soon as we can. But we don't have an answer yet, and even if we did know, we actually can't say, because usually you are sworn to secrecy until the exchange themselves lists. So we work towards it, but we could, even if we knew, we couldn't say. So it will happen, but don't have an exact answer. I think we've got one quick comment coming up.
Yes. Replicas in GTA 6 from Ben.
Yes, I mean, this is like, I think we talked about a lot about this last year around one of the applications for replica technology would be great for gaming. So imagine being able to create your own replica and then license it out to certain computer games to have it running around different real world games, a bit like GTA 6 or Destiny or something like that, where your AI avatar, your replica, would actually be there as an interactable character, as opposed to these very stale, boring characters that are just follow a script. So having an actual sort of AI with personality and something you can dig into would be an incredible use case for this kind of technology. And I guess one day we'll do a gaming hackathon, and that could be quite fun as an entirely separate business to be built on top of Sensay. I want to hire your replica, Marco, to build Sensay copy for me. Where can people find the Marco bot?
So I would definitely not recommend to use the Marco bot, because I'm doing experiments with it all the time. So I don't think it's a good representation. Dan's bot, on the other hand, is really good. So if you want to play around with it, is a much better option than mine. And I have done so. I had you remember the project about the CTO, Marco CTO bot, right? Lots of interesting stuff. So on the background, I'm building some of the little components for my use. Once I guess I put all of that together, then that could be a good time to make Marco bot public.
Yeah. think we've got a couple of very, very quick questions that I can just answer now, which actually ties into kind of what you were saying. It's one of the requirements for the CTO bot was actually to have the integration with Slack. And so, this question from Marcus about besides X, which other socials will Sensay be able to get deployed? A little teaser is that as part of one of our internal hackathons recently, that the team actually, basically managed to figure out a Slack integration. And so it's likely that we'll see, Sensay on Slack very, very, very soon. And then one last very, very quick one.
Can I just say, I was really impressed about this month's hackathon, internet hackathon. One of the things you can do with this hackathon, this hack about integrating Sensay into Slack was that you can just tell it, remember or learn from this or like that. So it becomes a very natural way to engage with the replica and get it to improve its knowledge base. And I loved it because we were doing it for some was it HR policies, right? I was playing around with, and it was so natural to just give it, and then you just get the acknowledgement. I can't wait to get that out.
Yeah, I already tried to play around with it as well. It's so much fun because you get so much data and you can see it is really set just for that data it has and everything.
That's fine. Okay, so I think we're a bit out of time. There was a question about the date for demo day. So that's going to come up at the end of the month. So we're very excited forward to that. It's always a big event and always very exciting to present some of the things we've been working on. So keep your eyes out for the announcement about demo day coming soon. It'll be the last week of May. We'll be showcasing some really, really cool products we've been working on the back end. And yeah, guys, Marco, Lars, thank you so much for joining today. For anyone in the community, if you want to find out more about Sensay, go to sensay.io or find us on any socials at Ask Sensay. You can also find myself at Sensay Dan on pretty much any channel, and feel free to reach out on even during the week. We do these once a week on Friday, but feel free to reach out about any questions or comments or any ideas you may have, partnerships and anything else that you think would be great for us. We are a community built project as well, so having the community involved really does mean a lot. So thank you all for listening, thank you for contributing, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
It's going to be very
lovely. Ciao.
Are you ready for your digital twin? Let's go back.
It's rewind time.
The birth of communication. The wonder of hearing a voice from miles away.
Hello. Just a minute, please.
Then, the IT revolution, connecting us not just by voice, but by data.
The world is at your fingertips.
The mobile revolution. We ventured into the world connected like never before. The smartphone era. More connected than ever, closer than ever, which all became a bit overwhelming. Too much information. Too many demands. Imagine if you had a helping hand. You, hundreds of you, teaching, scheduling, engaging, buying, selling, your digital AI replica. Helping you focus on what really matters. It's your revolution. The revolution of you. The very best